On August 7th, 2025, the Las Vegas Raiders traveled to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. On paper, it was just a meaningless preseason game, a simple tune-up before the real war begins. But this game was different. It was one of the most personal and emotionally charged matchups of the entire year. This wasn't about a win or a loss on a stat sheet. This was a homecoming. This was about respect, and for some, this was about revenge. So what really happened when Pete Carroll, the architect of a Seattle dynasty, came back to the city he once ruled, with the quarterback he resurrected right by his side? Section 1. The stage for a showdown. To get the weight of this game, you have to understand the history. For 14 seasons, Pete Carroll was the Seattle Seahawks. He built the legendary Legion of Boom, won the franchise its only Super Bowl, and forged a culture of relentless competition that defined an era. When he and the team parted ways after the 2023 season, it left a massive hole in the heart of the city. Then came the second act nobody saw coming. After a year away from the sidelines, the energetic 73-year-old coach took the top job in Las Vegas. And one of his first moves? Bringing a familiar face with him. Geno Smith, the quarterback whose career was reborn in Seattle under Carroll, was traded to the Raiders, reuniting the duo in silver and black. For Geno, it was a chance to prove his comeback story was no fluke. For Carroll, it was a chance to prove his philosophy could win anywhere. In a twist of fate that felt like it was ripped from a movie script, their very first game together was scheduled back in Seattle. Section 2. The return. When Pete Carroll walked onto the Lumen Field turf, the famous 12s gave him a reception that shook the stadium. The boos that usually greet a rival were replaced by a wave of cheers and a standing ovation. This wasn't a villain returning, it was a beloved general coming home, even if he was in enemy colors. Before the game, Carroll was his classic self, hugging his former players with his old staff and soaking it all in. He tried to downplay the emotion to the media, saying, "It's the only game we got, and it happens to be in Seattle." But you could feel the significance in the air. Even the new Seahawks coach, Mike McDonald, acknowledged that Carroll and Smith deserved the warm welcome. It was a homecoming built on a foundation of respect. But the second that whistle blew, all that warmth was put on pause. The reunion was over. The competition had begun. Which moment from this game do you think was the most cinematic? Carroll's emotional return, the back-and-forth battle, or the final shocking play? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this look behind the curtain of the NFL, make sure to subscribe for more stories you won't find anywhere else. Section 3. The battle on the field. The game itself was a story of haymakers and counterpunches. The Raiders and Geno Smith took the field first, and Smith completed a 15-yard pass to Trey Tucker on his first throw as a Raider. It was a quick statement, but the drive stalled from there. The Seahawks' defense then came alive with cornerback Nehemiah Pritchett jumping a route to snag an interception off Raiders backup Aiden O'Connell, setting up a field goal. But the Seahawks, feeding off their home crowd, struck first with a touchdown. Running back George Halani broke loose, capping a 75-yard drive with a rumbling 24-yard touchdown run to electrify Lumen Field. The score reminded everyone that this was a new Seattle team, hungry to forge its own identity. The game turned into a tense, back-and-forth slugfest. Led by their backups, the Raiders mounted a furious second-half comeback, with quarterback Cam Miller hitting Shedrick Jackson for a 41-yard touchdown and kicker Daniel Carlson nailing a 51-yard field goal to tie the game late. With just seconds left on the clock, the Raiders lined up for a potential game-winning 55-yard field goal. But in a final dramatic twist, Seattle's special teams unit, specifically linebacker Jalen Gaines, burst through the line and blocked the kick. The game ended in a 23-23 tie. There was no winner, and maybe that was the perfect ending. This game was never truly about revenge. It was about closure and new beginnings. Pete Carroll got to feel the love of the city he gave so much to, calling the experience cool in his post-game press conference and admitting his love for the place. Geno Smith got a warm reception and took his first snaps as the new leader of the Raiders, and the Seahawks proved they were ready to turn the page. This preseason opener was more than just an exhibition. It was a chapter of closure for one of the NFL's great coaches and the dawn of a new era for two proud franchises.